Hey, it's Uncle Bear, and it is week 16 of the overall project hosted on Patreon. Week 3 of the spring edition, which is entitled Experiments with Embracing Spring, Leaning into Joy, a Creative Possibility Romp. I am still in Kentucky at Miss Nicole's beautiful house, and I'm leaving for Chicago tomorrow. There's going to be some wind right now, maybe some other ambient lovely noises. And it's week 3. The theme for this week, acts of service. Something very dear to my heart. And also, I'm realizing something complicated, which is like, of course, there's complications. Acts of service, when you think of it, the first thing most people think about are the 5 love languages by Gary Chapman, who is a white, straight, Christian Baptist pastor who wrote the 5 love languages. So of the 5 love languages, acts of service is one of the love languages. And it really is about your intent to enact tasks, services to other human beings out of devotion, love, care. It's really cool. It is one of the 5 languages that I really respond to, for sure. Also, FYI, there's not scientific evidence to back up the claims besides the Bible. That's the evidence to back up the 5 love languages, and they make sense. We respond to certain ways of being loved. Acts of service is one of those, and I love this idea of devotion and doing stuff for other human beings. Here's the complicated part. I got the message years ago that some of my acts of service are really about earning love. You know, that whole idea that if I do stuff for you, you'll maybe love me. You'll maybe give me some love. So it's kind of, I will settle for scraps of love from a human being that I do acts of service for. That's fucked up. That's not good for me. So I know that I have a complicated relationship because at the same time, I love acts of service. Nothing makes me happier than doing the things that are going to support the people that I love having an easier time of it. It makes me so happy. It gives me joy. It fills me up. It nourishes me. And at the same time, I don't want to have to earn love. Complicated. This week, exploring this theme. I also had this idea that, acts of service to yourself is self-love. So I'm going to be looking at that as well. This week, I encourage you to participate along with me in doing acts of service. And today's experiment is the simple introductory experiment that I often am asking to do of myself and of you, lovely human beings who watch this, which is ask some questions about what that means to you, acts of service. What are acts of service? What does it mean to you? What do you like? What do you not like? What do you like to do for others? What do you hate doing for others? And having a conversation around that, because a lot of this is also about boundaries. Right? I also have the message that my hypervigilance from growing up in a family that expressed anger often, I have hypervigilance. So one of the reasons why I do acts of service is because I anticipate needs. Why? Because I want to be safe. I want to figure out what the fuck is happening so that I remain safe. It's, acts of service. Today, I had the great, wonderful benefit of being with Nicole and meeting 2 of her beloveds. And we made brunch for them. Well, Nicole made most of the brunch. I made a little bit of it. So I thought, oh God, it was so wonderful to shred cabbage and carrots because I knew that I was going to be feeding Nicole's beloveds. Acts of service. In theory, we're going to be putting up a tent today. Acts of service for Nicole to be able to use as an outdoor space and for people who come to visit her, so they have a space during COVID Landia times to actually be able to be sheltered. Acts of service are happening all the time. Acts of service, though, need to have your intention and attention to them. If you're doing stuff to try to earn love, is that an act of service? Or is it just kind of like a really funky coping skill to get your needs met? That's why the boundary thing is so important. Knowing your boundaries. Knowing why you're wanting to do acts of service. This is a very tender place, I'm realizing today. I had a couple crying moments as I was writing about this and getting the blog version of this up and running. Experiment. Do some riffing on what acts of service are for you, what you think about them, what they mean to you, what you like, what you don't like. So do a riff. You can also look in the description. If this is on YouTube, you're looking at it, in the description, I put down my blog that is attached to the Patreon project. So you can read along and get the info if you'd like. Speaking of which, with the environmental thunder of a motorbike, hey, why don't you subscribe to my YouTube channel? Yeah, do that thing. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're watching this on Facebook Landia, I'll put a link in the comments. Take a look, subscribe, like, make a suggestion, comment if you want. And hey, subscribe to my Patreon. That would be great and awesome. It starts at $5 a month. And you get access to everything. There's also other tiers because I offer other services. If you like that kind of stuff, that's great too. But starts at $5. And remember that all of my Patreon experiments are free. They're free because I want this wonderful, creative, fabulous, interesting stuff for me to be able to be available to anyone else that it resonates with. Acts of service is going to be a really interesting and cool week. I'm excited to dive in with you, wiggle around, find out the stuff that really makes sense and that resonates. Find out about the stuff that doesn't. That's the thing with the experiments. I'm often surprised with what happens. Hey, from Kentucky. This will be my last vlog, I think. Probably from Kentucky. It's been such an amazing time. I'm so grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be here in this space with you. And we do this thing together. We do this thing together.